Madayaw, my peeps. Christmas can be downright scary. Traffic, Christmas shopping, and the odd relative that seem to pop up in the most ill-opportune of times. But the history of Christmas had a dark undertone than the sparkly tinsel-laden parties that we have every December 25th. How did a solemn, unpopular holiday turn into a celebration of mass consumption and materialism? Let's unmask.
Let's start with the name. Christmas means Mass for Jesus Christ. Christ Mass. It was a liturgical celebration, a Mass, to celebrate the feast day of Jesus, which was presumably his birthday. Mass was said the night before, and that was it. The Yuletide was something else. Yule, a Scandinavian holiday observed by our Viking ancestors, happened during the cold, dead winter season. Yule was a scary time, scarier than Halloween. Remember, our concept of Halloween is modern. During the Yule, it was a time where spirits roamed the earth. Hence, you have the Christmas Carol where three ghosts visits Mr. Scrooge. Back in the medieval era, we thought of this season as a scary, cold, dark time where ghosts roam and ghouls search for their next victim. It was a real scary part of the year. Those coupled with snow and bitter coldness can really claim lives. Now, the actual date of Christmas is still unknown, but it may not be during December. Pope Julius I declared the fixed date of Christmas only in 340 AD. Prior to that, it was celebrated during March 25 and sometimes March 28, during the spring equinox. March 25 was thought to be the biblical date when the sun and life was born. Who thought of that? I don't know. So why December 25? December 25 was an auspicious date for pagans or non-Christians. It was winter solstice, it was Saturnalia, it was the birth of the Egyptian Osiris. Let's get to the scary part. The Yuletide season started on winter solstice and progressed for 12 days. During the Scandinavian or Norse season, it was believed that the veil of the living and the dead were thin, and the spirits and the demons walked the earth. You have to burn a Yule log for at least 11 days to keep these unwanted spirits away. If there was leftover, you could use it for the next year. Now, the ash from the burnt log was considered lucky and is used as lucky charms. The wreath symbolizes the cycle of life. Candles were symbols of light. Bells were carried in the dark to keep demons away, not for singing jingle bells. Even the Christmas tree, which was made of evergreen or pine, symbolized renewal of life. The elves we love so much? During the Yule season, they went around helping preparations, keeping everyone safe in anticipation of the sun's renewal at the end of the Yule season. Now, the unscary part, Saturnalia. It's a Roman tradition. It was a celebration of the birth of Saturn. During that one day, which is December 25, people drank to excess and ate in feasts. During the feast, kings, nobles, commoners, and even the poor sat in one table. Gifts were given and the tradition of the mistletoe was observed. One day, Pope Julius I sent St. Augustine to convert some of the Celtic Brits. He saw how they wouldn't let Saturnalia go even after being converted. So St. Augustine substituted Saturn's birthday to Jesus' birthday, and Christmas became the loud celebration that we all knew today. You know, Hanukkah is also celebrated on December 25th. Now, let's talk about the figures of Christmas time, starting with the most popular, Santa. How did Santa become the fat jolly man in a red suit? Funny thing is, Santa was a Persian bishop right around 240 AD. He was thin and he was dark. Saint Nicholas was the patron saint of children and sailors. Legend had it that when Saint Nick found out that three poor sisters were to be sent to the brothel to work as sex slaves because of poverty, he secretly came by at midnight and threw gold coins through an open window. The gold fell into their stockings, and thus the tradition was born. In the Philippines, relatives and other individuals gave out coins or money during Christmas Eve to small children. This was called the aguinaldo, not the president, just the practice. In the 17th century, many poor Europeans immigrated to the USA. The sailors and migrants called upon Saint Nick to protect them. In Germany, Saint Nicholas became Sinterklaas, and it was shortened or somehow during mispronunciation, Sinterklaas became Santa Claus. And he had a scary companion called Krampus to help him out. As Saint Nick gave toys and gold to deserving children, Krampus gave coal and nightmares to the bad ones. Krampus was a goat-like figure with claws. He terrorized the bad children. And in some stories, when children were irredeemable, he dragged them to hell. By the way, there's no such person as Mrs. Claus. Saint Nick, may I remind you, was a bishop. He was a priest of the church, and he was never married, but he was rich. He gave away his wealth to help the poor. Frosty the Snowman, Jack Frost, and even the 12 reindeers were modern inventions. They had no basis in history. As for the people present in the nativity scene, apart from the Holy Family, there's the three wise men and the shepherd. The three wise men were not kings, but they were wealthy. They were astronomers and scholars. They came across Jesus' prophecy in the ancient scriptures, and using their skills in astronomy, followed the sign and the star to Bethlehem, where they gave gifts to baby Jesus. The shepherd should clue you in that the big guy's birthday was not winter. Otherwise, it would be far too cold for the shepherd and their sheep to be out.
Gingerbread didn't come about till the 11th century. It was actually the Crusaders who brought ginger to Europe. And with it, they brought gingerbread. The kings of Europe thought it was too exotic, too pagan. They banned it. But it was such a delicious treat that they allowed it only during special occasion. And they baked it during Christmas. That is why we associate the gingerbread to Christmas. In 1840, Queen Victoria and Prince Albert celebrated a very grand Christmas. They had ornaments on a pine tree, and how we celebrate Christmas today actually originated then. It was the Victorians who invented very colorful wrapping paper. They also invented the Christmas card and the Christmas pudding. The Jolly Red Man in a red suit only came about in the 1930s. It was the Great Depression, and Coca-Cola, yep, the Coca-Cola. They're actually the ones who invented this Santa Claus, or this version of a white, Caucasian, fat man. You have to understand, this was the Great Depression. They needed somebody that they could look up to, a very prosperous image of Christmas, where people would be encouraged to buy, to spend, and to be generous. And so, the fat guy came, and it kind of caught on, such that every shop window, every postcard, every poster had his image. Anybody who wanted to sell something during Christmas had to have the fat jolly man in a red suit. And after all this time, we kind of forgot how Saint Nick actually looked like. He was a thin, dark bishop from Persia.
Today, Christmas is a mass of consumerism and excess. Reduce, reuse, recycle. For Christmas, I urge everyone to do their bit. The best gift to give Mother Nature is life. Let's not add to the garbage problem. Reduce your consumption. If you don't need it, if you're only going to use it once, don't bother with it. Reuse what you can. Plastic utensils, forget it. Wash your plates and utensils. Ask your family members to come and bring their own Tupperwares for leftovers. And let's face it, there will be leftovers. Recycle what you can. Instead of using wrapping paper, use newspaper, magazine pages, and even scrap fabric. You can even use scarves and give it afterwards. How about e-gifts? That will surely reduce waste. Shameless plugging here. My selection of books, most of what I write is steampunk, but I do have a couple of children's books and a couple of young adult and fantasy. Links are in the description below, and I'll be having a sale during the 24th all the way till the 28th. I hope this video gave you an insight to the history of Christmas. In the next video, we will be unmasking Santa. Don't forget to follow my social media channels. This is Maita once again. Merry Christmas and Maayong Pasko.